So we're already off agenda that we're supposed to be outside, but we're inside. Welcome to all. Thanks for gathering here this morning with us. I'm Teresa Rignanti, President and Chief Executive Officer for the United Way of Long Island. And certainly very proud to add this crown jewel and this project to our work. Our representatives are here from NYSERDA. We'll talk a little bit about that. But again, just let's give just a round of applause to making it to this morning. Here's our students from SmartBuild who helped also. They wanted to stand up above, and they belong up above for a lot of reasons, but not for bad reasons, for all good reasons. It's these young people and our veterans. Where's Fabrizio? Where's Fabrizio? A young man back from post 9/11 engagement in November, also working on this project with our SmartBuild program, but it's the lives of our young people and our veterans and folks who are unemployed, people trying to come into the industry, our partnership with NYSERDA to do this work and have a crown jewel for the region of a training center that now is opened up to people who are most vulnerable and at risk and trying to just get a start, get a better start, get a career, stay on Long Island, build a home on Long Island, all the things that all of us hold near and dear to ourselves and our families. So this really is very appropriate that this is for that generation of young people and our generation who serve so proudly. So we thank you, everyone. Thank you. You know, to go into the life of how we got here, I mean, I can only say that when I joined the United Way 5 years ago as the President and Chief Executive, we were in really the space of our SmartBuild program predominantly. And our SmartBuild program serving young men and women 18 to 24. But we had always done work with Rick Wertheim's leadership, our Senior Vice President for Housing, and our Green Initiatives work for people with AIDS and HIV through grants. And I know the town of Islip is here. Bobby, you're here. Been doing that work for 20 years as it relates to housing for people, special needs, predominantly AIDS and HIV. And how we decided to, the story of grow that over the last 5 years and get involved with certainly the weatherization work with low-income people. We got a $3 million award for stimulus dollars. Craig, where's Craig Flickstein? Craig worked hand in hand with Rick and I from the grant writing side to really sort of procure the things that made sense for the United Way and our mission and how we would grow into an organization and grow with really great partners. So our partners in the room in education, I know Farmingdale University is here, Stony Brook, Suffolk Community College. Where does United Way fit on that rung? And Rick was always astute enough to start with, let's be the organization that starts at that entry-level gateway and works with people most vulnerable and at risk, gets our young people a better start, and then how we fit in the transition of working with our community colleges, our four-year institutions, the Advanced Energy Center, Pat Malone, and make sure that we have an opportunity for all people to come into that space. So we want to recognize NYSERDA because in the application, in the CFA application, that's really what we position, to really be that entryway, that gateway, and on up. And we invite all the institutions, organizations, and people that are in that training space. I know Dick O'Kane just took a call from the building trades. We have a great alignment with the building trades in this region, very supportive of labor, Department of Labor. We're working on a project together to use this also as a gateway for DOL and some of the initiatives that they have going on in conjunction. And we have a lot of people here who represent in the CFA space, in the Regional Economic Development Council, all been very supportive. You must have scored our application well enough that NYSERDA took a look and moved that then to the funding round. I want to recognize, I know we have some elected officials with us as well. I see Tracy Edwards, councilwoman from the town of Huntington, with Verizon also for a fairly long period of time, and we're hopeful that both the town, companies, organizations, again, will find their way to work with us in partnership. But this really is, so it's Earth Week, I think. Is Earth Day or Earth Week? How do we have, so we're at Earth Week. Thought it to be green. Gordon Canary also with us, thank you. And who else? I'm just scanning because I know that there are many individuals, and well, Assemblyman Ray is going to speak in the podium in a couple of minutes, but again, this is sort of like that full court press, and I can only say, and I've always been truthful to any funder, and I'm going to be very truthful. If you were here a week ago, and if I had that cam, you know, when you see Extreme Home Makeover and you see how people work triple time, it's sort of like, you know, goes times 24 and when you're on your DVR. We probably had at least 100 different people in a week from labor, from industry, from youth build, from vets build, all simultaneously getting us to the place and space that we are today. There's so much credit to go outward because there's so many people and a lot of industry people in the room that to really make this happen, and the commitment in giving us the products. You know, I'm sure the leveraging of what this leveraged on top of the grant will be very impressive, because what is in this scientific home is extraordinary, and I just want to really recognize there's so many people to go through the list of everybody's contribution, the staff's contribution, Rick's leadership, Stephen, Gabe, one of our youth build students who now is an employee, Femi, who's an employee. We've got a couple of young men and women with us, and let's just thank them. Ask Tom Barone to come up and to join me, the Acting Vice President of Operations and Energy Services from NYSERDA, to say a couple words. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today, and I'd like to thank all of our distinguished guests for being here as well. It's very fitting, I guess, that we honor this building this week because this is the 44th anniversary of Earth Week. I think Earth Day was on Tuesday. No. But I'd especially like to thank all the volunteers, all the staff, all the youth build people, all the vets build people. Without your work and effort and sweat, we wouldn't be here today. I'd also like to congratulate Teresa and her team for pulling together all the people that were necessary to get this thing done. This was no small feat. Teresa had mentioned that this is a jewel, and I would agree with that. I've only had a chance to review it very quickly, but it's more than a jewel. It's likely to be a model for environmental stewardship going forward in the state. And it's likely to be a showcase for sustainability as well across the state. And that really says something when you've achieved that. United Way has had a tradition of improving the lives of the people that live in the community through training opportunities that provide for real career improvements. And this building science lab it's another tool in their toolbox, but boy, it's one heck of a tool. And I think that the building community is going to be responding very positively to all of the things that have been incorporated into this facility. The students will be trained by professionals on energy efficiency techniques, on state-of-the-art building equipment and materials, and they're doing it all in a very safe, contained, comfortable lab environment, which is fantastic. Now, this house is only one of 5 that NYSERDA has funded across the state. In general, these facilities are meant to provide access to students to improve their skills, to prepare them for the clean energy workforce that's coming. And we're very excited to see that happening all the way across the state. But these facilities are really just only one part of NYSERDA's workforce development initiative. We have been providing funding for workforce development for more than 10 years across the state, and we have been responsible for training over 30,000 students. The funding for this program, for this building and the other buildings that I just talked about, came through our Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. It's also known as RGGI. It's a multi-state organization that's intended to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Our proceeds, New York State's proceeds, support those strategies of greenhouse gas reductions through energy efficiency, renewable energy, carbon abatement technologies, but also obviously training the youth for next year, the year after next. Governor Cuomo is committed to workforce training and energy efficiency and the partnerships like we have here today. And I just can't tell you how great it is to see so many people involved in this. This is really a true partnership. Through the Governor's Clean Energy Agenda, NYSERDA will continue to bring together public and private partnerships to ensure that the state has a well-skilled and highly trained workforce for the 21st century. So, Teresa, on behalf of everyone at NYSERDA, I want to congratulate the United Way, Long Island, for your vision, for your commitment to the students. Thank you very much.
Let's ask John Francis China, Manager of Residential Energy Programs at PSE&G. It's John. Come on up and a couple of words for us.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks. I'm John Franciscina, the manager of commercial. Actually, I used to be the manager of commercial efficiency programs. This year, I'm the manager of residential programs for PSEG. PSEG Long Island is a company, a new company to Long Island here. We're excited to be out here as of January 1st. PSEG is a big company. Everyone knows PSE&G, which is the utility across the river over in New Jersey. We have about 2.2 million customers out here. We have about 1.1 million. But we're real excited about being here today. We're excited in our previous history of LIPA and LILCO of having partnerships with folks like Rick and the organization here. And the programs that we support, the Home Performance with Energy Star programs, the Home Performance Direct programs, these programs are all done in conjunction with NYSERDA. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize that. So we do it together with NYSERDA. NYSERDA pays for part of it, we pay for part of it, and it's here to help the customers of Long Island lower their energy bills and help them save energy. But what's so critical about this industry, and I think this is one of the big growing industries, I talk to contractors all the time. We have literally hundreds of contractors that participate in our programs, and I try to talk to them, and one of the big challenges is getting good workers. And these are not, we're not talking about minimum wage jobs here. We're talking about good, solid, working job where you need information, you need something like this, and I've never seen something like this before on Long Island. I think the students that are coming through here, you guys are going to get great jobs when you understand how this stuff works, and you're going to go out to contractors, and Rick, I'd like to say publicly that we can facilitate that process, because again, we have a bunch of contractors.
We have a tape running, don't worry.
What we do is we try to, so we don't waste the ratepayers' money. We do a lot of quality control, we do a lot of quality assurance, and NYSERDA does the same thing. We have CSG down here that does it. And we see a lot of bad installations, a lot of stuff that's just done poorly because a couple of guys that are in the office that really know what they're doing hire people off the street that really don't know what they're doing. And then the contractors are shaking their heads here. It's very, very difficult to get people off the street that want to do manual labor that really know how to do it well. And if you know how to do it well, you're going to get paid real well, you're going to open up your own business eventually, and you're going to be hiring a lot of people. This is a growth industry here on Long Island. There's probably a growth industry all over the country. I mean, the prices of energy are going up. I mean, half of your bill here on Long Island, I hate to tell you, you don't see this in the paper all the time, half of your bill is fuel. Right now, electric is nice and cheap, relatively cheap, because natural gas is cheap. If natural gas goes up, the price of energy is just going to go up. And the only way we can avoid a hardship here on Long Island from energy going up is by doing energy efficiency. So you can use less energy, make your house more comfortable, it's safer, it's better for the environment, reducing the humidity in the air. All this stuff is just great stuff. And that's what we do over at PSEG. We promote all that stuff. We've got the Cool Homes program that promotes air conditioning. We have, Rick was nice enough to set up a training center for us over here. We had it with National Grid. We were sharing one at one of the facilities. Now that we moved to PSEG, we didn't have that anymore. Rick stepped right up to the plate and made a deal with us, and he's got a great facility here where we could train our contractors to make sure they do a quality job. Again, quality is what it's all about. Anybody can throw in an air conditioner, run away, take the money, and then the customer says, hey, it's just not working right. It's too humid, it's not cool enough, it's, all the issues that you have with a bad system. So it's important to do energy efficiency, but it's important to do it right. And that's why I think this is going to be a great step in the right direction to get these guys over here that are looking for jobs and they want to stay here on Long Island. Living on Long Island's expensive. But with these type of jobs, I think you're going to have a nice, happy life, and you're never going to worry about where your next job's coming from, because there's plenty of jobs here on Long Island for energy efficiency. And with that, I'd just like to again thank Teresa,
Thanks.
thanks Rick, and looking forward to working with you.
Richard's going to, a couple of minutes, so he's our Senior Vice President, Inspector Gadget, because without Rick, so you always need someone who starts to make the wheel turn, right? So we have sort of like the trifecta between, Craig, Rick and I. When we get together, it's painful for all three of us. I don't know who leaves with the most headache, but even to understand, now I'm seeing everything come to life in a way where I visually understand it. But a very valuable team member who's really pioneered to get us to this day. So Rick, if you can say a few words about the center.
Sure, thanks. Well, I think a pressure house is kind of a vague term, but I just want to kind of put this in perspective, because what Teresa had mentioned, I wouldn't even have this opportunity to even develop the site without NYSERDA being there to give us the opportunity to make a training center that is much different than training centers that are out there. Because this is not a classroom environment. This is a hands-on, visual simulation. Every step of the way, this tool, this House of Pressure, a building science lab, gives not only entry-level people, tradespeople, even design professionals the perspective of how to do the next generation of building projects the right way. Just like John had mentioned, the need to do this type of work is more important now than ever, because we're building houses tighter, more sophisticated. Green building is a very interesting term. I tell our students, when you're doing a green build, pay attention to the EE in green. The energy efficiency, you are not a green project unless you have energy efficiency built in. So how do you combine all those systems? And I did promise Teresa that I wasn't going to talk about building science at all.
Because you'll have a headache.
But really, that's what drives the next generation of housing, is the building science foundation. And all of the trades are coming together, and to be a BPI, a Building Performance Institute training center, which we are now, this is the hub by which all of the component parts come together. So, Lori, I'd like to thank you for being our project manager and managing me, which is not easy, because this pressure house started as just a science lab pressure house to just do one specific thing. But it grew and evolved into so much more, because we had to change the name of the center. It's now a SmartBuild center, because it's the way that we use the pressure house to do something completely different, and how we use the trades to support that. So I'm just really happy to see all the partners that we have here. Teresa went through and described all of them, but all the different technologies that come together, we're going to do the training right here. What I do need to tell you is that in the months that we did the construction of this project with our Vets Build, with our Youth Build program, 4 of our students got jobs from the contractors and trades that were involved. And that was the best part of this project. The fact that this is going to be a training gem and jewel is really something to be looked forward to. But that they got jobs as a result of doing this house was just tremendous to me. And I would like to thank We have our home performance contractors, Bob from AWS. I think you hired one or two. Rudy is from Apollo HVAC with all his advanced HVAC. He's been hiring our students to do HVAC work. We're planning successional education programs with Pat Malone from Stony Brook. We're working with Dave Sheeran from Empower with doing solar. We spoke about doing solar, and he said, Rick, there's no sun in the lab, so it's a bit of a problem. So he said, well, why don't we do a mock system? Because what he needs are people who know how to screw the things to the roof, how to not fall off the roof while you're doing it, and how all those pieces come. Because there's plenty of design professionals that'll figure out all the fancy building science stuff that I'm not going to really get into. But it's how do we train the installers? We're looking to really partner with DOE from their entry-level credentials now. They have the installer, energy retrofit installer, crew chief, auditor, and a QA inspector. So we're going to be delivering that type of training here where no one else is doing that, as well as ResNet training. We're a HERS providership. So we actually facilitate HERS raters on how to do the next generation of housing for the special needs and affordable housing industry. So the people who need energy efficiency the most are the ones who typically aren't getting it. So we're trying to build that into the housing work that we do at United Way. And one of our new developments, which I'm kind of excited about as well, developing with the building trades a brand new pre-apprenticeship program for the union trades, so that we can now cycle some of these advanced energy technology house project as a system right into their pipeline of opportunities. So it just feeds a whole supply chain of where it is that we're thinking that we'd like to go. So again, I just really would like to thank everyone for the opportunity. I'd like to thank JP from Fusion Architecture for doing 17 revisions on our plans based upon every time we had a little design. Working with Niswata as our consultant to put all of the real gadgetry together. If I told you this house is like a computer. It has things that open and close and simulate the kind of things that would make, it makes my head spin, it would make your head just really, you'd be like, wow. This is an MRI machine for a house. This is how we do advanced home diagnostics, next generation stuff. So thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully we'll take you through and give you a couple of
I'm going to ask Assemblyman Rea to come up, and Fabrizio and the people are touring on. We're going to go ahead and get you in, but come on.
Thank you, Joyce. I'll be brief because I want to take a tour and hopefully pick up some hints. I've been trying to make my house energy efficient for 4 years, and I'm going in little baby steps. But I just wanted to stop by because it's important to recognize great groups like the United Way and Youth Build. And every year I have some of the Youth Build folks come into my office and lobby for the program, and they're the best. They really want to be doing this. They want to change their lives around. They want to be successful. They want to stay on Long Island, and the United Way is certainly helping make that possible. I wanted to recognize Sean Collins from Assemblyman Ramos's office is also here. And I just wanted to thank the governor and NYSERDA and the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council for recognizing such a good program. You know, I always joke if I could go back and do it again, I'd be a plumber. But now I guess if I were these gentlemen's age, I'd probably be looking at doing something just like this. And the fact that the United Way is making that possible is just awesome. And you know, no good ribbon cutting would be good with, without a citation. So we have a citation that you can stick on a wall somewhere.
Happy to do it.
And am I announcing the next individual, or are you doing that?
No, you could do that if you'd like to ask the next on the...
David Shearer.
Shearing.
Oh, sorry, maybe I should have had you do that. CEO of Empower Solar and a partner with United Way.
Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Nice to see you. So, a couple quick things. First, when I started my business about 11 years ago, the vision was an economy completely powered by renewable energy. Okay, so That was 2003. In 2003, there were very few companies doing this around. There were very few individuals, organizations pursuing this vision around. And it was a lonely path, okay? A long road, because at the time we had less than 0.01% renewable energy. Today, we have about 1% of energy mix, thereabouts, coming from solar on the island. So the question is, how do you get motivated? How do you stay inspired? How do you keep going when the path isn't always clear? Well, I can share with you that from United Way, Long Island, Teresa, Rick, Craig, Jim, all these folks, they, on a very deep level, have been really critical in inspiring me, my organization, and many others, that our vision is possible to achieve. Okay, we can get there working together. And what's remarkable about them is not only do they embrace this vision, from a planning and implementation standpoint, because they, when you look at the buildings that they construct in partnership with JP and the various contractors, they are some of the most state-of-the-art, high-performance homes and buildings that I've ever seen. Not just in New York, but around the country. And it's really impressive what they do. So they recognize that this is vital, and I think it's from two perspectives. One, we're improving the standard of living. Renewable energy, energy efficiency, this stuff is going to clean the air, reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, and just achieving those things is going to be a huge accomplishment for our society. But then at a more basic level, near-term level, they are providing job opportunities. And so that's where the rubber meets the road for us in our partnership with United Way with this type of programming. Our company, we have about 50 people right now. We're probably going to 75 by the end of the year. I think 125 by the end of next year. We're planning for growth. We have engineers, we have installers, we have service technicians. So who are the folks that are operating on this type of structure? Well, they're the people that install the product. They're the technicians, they're the specialists. And you know what? That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where I think of my installers. We have about 20 or so of them today. And they're really smart, they're really dedicated to what they do. And guess what? They're vital to make renewable energy successful, because you have to install it properly in all the different 50 steps that it takes to install a solar power system. And there are just as many to install HVAC properly. And we can keep on talking about that. But they're where the rubber meets the road, and they have to know what they're doing, they're committed, and they have to really be trained well. And that's why we're very, very proud to partner with United Way Long Island on this project and many more. And I just want to say thank you to a remarkable job that you did.
All right, what we're going to do now, in the interest of time, is we're going to move to the ribbon cutting, because I know there are some individuals that need to leave. And then we're going to put us into three groups. There's going to be tour group A, B, and C.